The recreation from personal meaning to physical form, e.g. the performance of a beautiful sound, requires the use of the prospective member student's artistic imagination. The use of an artistic imagination also helps prospective member students create mental images of sound of indefinite expressive shades and forms, such as the image of a beautiful trumpet sound playing a soft cantilena or a thrilling jazz solo, which will become physical sounds once they allow their bodies to perform the correlative pre-rehearsed actions practiced as part of their performance's preparation. And then there's some discussion about that. Then you point out, unfortunately, some of the performance practices and pedagogical curricula in today's post-secondary music programs are mainly driven by the analytical step-by-step procedures, upward causation, inherent in technical training, leaving the use of an artistic imagination to the side, which, of course, is horrid. Nonetheless, if we continue with the exploration of the IPEA model, we will see that working simultaneously with both sides, the technical and empirically based and the expressive, artistically based, will encourage a vivid artistic imagination capable of yielding expressive performances along with continuous evolution of performance skills. And so this is the topic you take up in Spiral Dynamics, the System of Quadrants, and the IPEA model. The one issue that I have here is that, and we'll talk about this more as we get into it, is what you are really discussing is the growth and development of a particular multiple intelligence. And in this case, it's the musical multiple intelligence. And through the fundamental basic rungs or altitudes that all vertical transformation goes through. And this is not really anything that's dealt with by spiral dynamics. Spiral dynamics only deals with the major worldview, and it doesn't even have a concept of self holding this worldview, but that's what it's dealing with. So you are really talking about the concept of states and stages in integral psychology and the way that different developmental lines can be practiced and developed at different paces. And that's outside of the self-related lines. So you're dealing with one of the three types of developmental lines, the cognitive-related, the self-related, and the talents. You're dealing with the talents. And talents, whether they're mathematical or kinesthetic or musical or interpersonal, are ones that are different from self-development and can be developed independently and do not necessarily involve the self moving through spiral dynamics stages. Otherwise, if somebody sat down and simply learned a piano from scratch to concert virtuoso, then their self would necessarily have developed in the same way through those stages. And that just doesn't necessarily happen at all, as we know. So what you're looking at here is the development of an independent developmental line. And it goes through the same altitudes, which is why spiral dynamics color stages are roughly correct. But just understand that spiral dynamics doesn't have a theory about that at all. Okay. Doesn't understand that at all. Yeah. And so you're not really using any fundamental aspect of spiral dynamics. Is that clear?
Oh, no, absolutely. No, I think the idea of the format of the spiral did lend itself to explain what I saw in the research, the development of a musician. So it goes.
Well, sure. It's many psychologists have maintained that developmental lines are spirals. Robert Keegan, all the way back in his book, The Evolving Self, maintained that it was a spiral. Some of Suzanne Kukreuter's work does. So it's a fine way to visualize and depict, metaphorically, a multiple intelligence as it's unfolding. But that's not enough to equate it with spiral dynamics.
Okay.
And it also the way you use memes. Well, first of all, just keep in mind that the way spiral dynamics uses memes is not at all the typical way that memes are used. So they indicate this by creating an entirely new concept called a V-meme. And this V-meme means specifically a value system. And that is not what you are talking about. You are talking about altitudes or stages of development through the developmental line of music. And so you are actually creating a third use of meme when you use it this way. So I just want to point that out, and just, I'm not saying you should change it, but you should be aware of it. And you're really, it's really a quadrant hold-on. It's an item with four aspects that are tied together, and could be called something like a quadrant hold-on. But just be careful about that. A meme is described as a unit of cultural information, such as the concepts and physical actions exercised in a community of practice, that is transmitted from one mind to another, mainly through imitation or verbal instructions. Again, it's one of the things that V-memes are different than normal memes. That normal memes are transmitted much as a virus, a cultural virus, from one mind to another. But V-memes are also stages of development. And stages of development are not transmitted just by learning. Because if they were, you could learn red and then learn purple. Or you could learn turquoise and then learn orange. But you can't do that because they actually have a structure that is not learned. And one of the definition of a stage of development is a aspect of behavior that emerges in a way that cannot be reversed by social or cultural conditioning. So it's just another confusing moment in V-meme. So just be aware of that in what you're talking about, which is a quadrant hold-on. Some of these too are upper right quadrant genetic components. So breath, sound, and so on are not things that are transmitted simply by learning. Their physical components are inherited.